Welcome everyone to my character creation guide on the Paladin class. Hello, my name is Macsen. I'm recording this video about a week before the release of the game. I'm using the final version of the backup beta to create this video. The information in this video should remain relevant for the foreseeable future, probably up until an expansion comes out for the game, I imagine. Although the odd thing may be changed in a patch here and there. If it does, then I'll have to update this video in the annotations or even make a new video. Right, so the Paladin class. I'm actually going to be showing off a defensive Paladin here. So I'm concentrating and min-maxing in certain stats to create the best type of defensive Paladin I think I can make. So let's take a look at, well, the Paladin first of all, its details. The Paladin is a support or leader type of class. The other type of classes that are also leaders or support characters are the Chanter class and the Priest class. This class basically improves the other companions, giving them bonuses. The Paladin, to be specific, gives aura bonuses, which you can choose later on. I'll be showing the actual skills and that you can choose up to level 12 in a bit. So they also start with a bonus to athletics and lore, and that's their basic stats here. So they're particularly high in endurance, health, accuracy is pretty good as well, and deflection. They're all very good, those stats are. You compare that to a wizard, for example, and yeah, there's quite a big difference there. So paladins make pretty good frontline fighters. The frontline fighter classes are traditionally the barbarian, fighter and monk, but you can definitely turn a paladin into a frontline fighter in my opinion. Certainly on the defensive side, and this is the way I've gone for my attributes here. So in terms of creating a frontline paladin or defensive paladin, you really need to invest in perception and resolve. Both of those attributes increase your deflection, which is your main defense against almost all the normal attacks in the game. There's fortitude defense, reflex defense, and will defense as well, which your paladin is also particularly good at. The faith and conviction gives a large bonus to all of its defenses, in fact. But having high deflection is very, very necessary if you're going to have the paladin on the front line. I've also maxed out the intellect, so that's at 20. I've selected Old Veiler, which gives a bonus to intellect, and I've also selected the godlike race, which also gives a bonus to intellect. It's a bit debatable about how good the godlike class or races are going to be, since they can't wear helmets or caps within the game. I think it might be okay to have a couple of godlikes within your party. Anything more than that and it might be a bit excessive. You'd be losing out on certain items then that can give you pretty good bonuses. The fire godlike race also gives a bonus to defense in effect. You get extra damage reduction if you go below 50% endurance, and you also do some fire damage to opponents as well. Now, something what you would normally almost always want for a frontline character is constitution. I actually have minimized my constitution here, so we're getting less endurance and health, but the paladin's health is pretty good and its endurance as well, so that won't have as much of an effect as you might think. And the high amounts of deflection will mean most attacks actually miss the paladin entirely, so if you're having attacks that miss you, you're not going to need constitution. The might attribute improves your damage and healing. The paladin actually has quite a few things that allow it to heal other people within the party, so that's an extremely useful attribute to boost up. Obsidian have actually added stars to each of the classes where they recommend which stats should be increased. Now in this situation it actually is pretty, well, it's identical basically to the stats I've chosen. I haven't done that on purpose though. There are certain classes where I wouldn't agree with the distribution that Obsidian has chosen. For example, if I was going to make a more offensive paladin, then I would actually invest in dexterity a lot. to speed up the frequency of its attacks, and maybe get rid of something like Resolve. If you're going to give your Paladin a pike, so it's not on the front line, you don't need Resolve too much. Concentration is pretty important for frontline fighters as well, to prevent them from having their attacks interrupted. Now, because we have such a low dexterity, the defensive Paladin isn't great at dishing out damage, to be honest, even though it has a high level of might. But it's not really the role for defensive fighter to do damage anyway. The reason I've increased the might is mainly to benefit for healing purposes. Also, if you're actually selecting a Paladin as a player character, your first character within the game, it makes a pretty good player character actually, since most of the dialogue skill checks within the game use these 3 attributes. All of the attributes are actually used, but especially those 3 there. And if you're investing heavily in those, then you'll likely be able to pass a lot of the dialogue checks. The reason I've gone for Slave is because it gives a bonus to Athletics and Survival. The Paladin starts with Athletics, and it's usually a pretty good idea to specialize in a skill. If I was going to have this as a player character, I might actually pick Aristocrat or Artist to get the Lore bonus instead. I think Lore might be pretty good for a player character. It might come out more in dialogue checks more than the other skills, although I don't really know about that yet. That's something I'll find out more about when the game is actually fully released. In the back of beta, there's certainly a few lore checks. The last thing I should probably mention on the screen to do with the Paladin is the Paladin Order. Now, you actually have a choice of 5 different orders. This choice is extremely important, especially if you're picking a Paladin as your player character, since how you act in the world will determine whether or not you retain this bonus, the Faith and Conviction bonus. If you constantly pick the favoured dispositions in dialogue checks when the Paladin is your player character, you will lose that bonus. And this bonus gives bonuses to all of the defense categories. So it's something you definitely don't want to lose on a frontline Paladin. Now, each of these orders as well unlocks a couple of talents that you can choose. All of them have a talent for the Flame ability, Flame of Devotion ability. And some of them have a talent for the Lay of Hands one as well. I believe the Kind Wayfarers especially focus on healing other companions in your party. The Shield Bearers, the one which I've selected, really favours or focuses on adding deflection, so I think that's a pretty good choice for a defensive Paladin. Bleak Walkers, if you kill opponents when you're a Bleak Walker, then you frighten your opponents. As I mentioned, all of them have a bonus for the sword. I can't quite remember these two. I think it might be a shield type for one. They also get an accuracy bonus, I think one of these does. But yeah, I'm going to be picking the shield bearer one and taking that. I will actually be picking that up as well later as one of my ability choices. So speaking of abilities, I should actually show you what abilities I would plan on choosing with this character class. Okay, so let's have a look at the Paladin's abilities and talents up to level 12. I'm going to be investing in the skills on the last level and talk a bit about them then. I won't be doing it then. If I was in the game, of course, I'd be investing in them every level, but there's not much point in doing so here. Right, so let's press next. So first of all, on the even levels, you pick your talents, and on the odd levels, you pick your abilities. Now, since this is a defensive or frontline Paladin, I'm actually going to pick Weapon and Shield to start out. Now, Weapon and Shield's a bit debatable. Having a shield gives minuses to your accuracy for your weapon, which can be pretty bad if you have a large shield. And also, one-handed weapons aren't exactly great at doing damage. But the whole focus of this class is to take damage rather than dish it out. So I'm going to pick Weapon and Shield. There are talents that are specific to do with the Paladin that you can pick straight away, but getting up your deflection and actually reflex in the case of this one is actually really important, specifically your deflection now. So I'm going to pick that here. Okay, for this ability I'm going to be picking Zealous Endurance. Zealous Endurance gives you a bonus to damage reduction. Also, because I picked so high intelligence, that aura range will be 4 meters, I believe, rather than 2.5, since we get 60% bonus. If I was going to have a more offensive paladin, I'd probably go for Zealous Focus. That's pretty good. Gives you bonus accuracy. There's actually a talent which gives you extra critical hits for that one as well. That one, not bad, but not a big fan of it. Lay on Hands are going to pick later on. Gives you extra health bonus. So let's pick that here. Now level 4, so more talents. Next talent I'm going to pick is Cautious Attack. More deflection. It's a modal ability, so it's an on or off ability. And you get less attack speed. But since this character isn't really trying to do a lot of damage, I'm happy to get the extra deflection here. So next skill, or talent I should say. So we've got quite a few more choices here. Inspiring Triumph, I actually really like that, but it only works when you kill opponents. That's better for an offensive paladin. Liberating Exhortation, one of my favourite paladin abilities. You can see here the intelligence amount is affecting this, so this lasts a long time. Sworn Enemy, it's a pure rest ability, it's pretty good. If that was pure encounter I'd love it, but it's pure rest, not so enamoured with it. So here I would either pick one of those two, I think. I'm actually going to go for Liberating Exhortation, I think, here. And next, talent choice. So I'm going to be starting to pick the Paladin's specific bonuses here now. So Shielding of Flames is a talent that is to do with the Saint Elka, if that's how you pronounce it, Paladin Order. So they get an extra deflection bonus for 10 seconds, and my high intelligence will make this last even longer. That one, all paladins can choose that. This, I believe you can only choose if the paladin is the player character, so this prevents you from losing this bonus if you pick disfavourable reputation choices with a paladin. And that's more defense bonus. So yeah, either of those are pretty good here. I'm going to pick that one, I think. So level 7. Reviving Exhortation. That's one per encounter. That's basically to revive someone in your party. I think the Chanters also have an ability to do this as well. So maybe if you have a Chanter in your party, this wouldn't be so useful. It could be pretty useful though. So the pick I'm going to pick here though is Lay on Hands, I think. So up to level 8. More talents. We can have greater Lay on Hands now. There's also the Shielding Touch ability, which is another Saint Elka ability. Gives you an extra 8 deflection on whomever you heal. I think I want more defense here though. So I'm going to pick Deep Faith. And next level. So what else have we got here? Righteous Soul, passive ability, extra defense against those, which I don't think this is particularly good, to be honest. You could use one of the previous picks I've picked for the Paladin to delay a lot of those attacks anyway. And you have to kind of be aware that they're going to happen before you use... Oh, it's passive actually, so no, you don't have to actually select it. It works automatically. This one, extra deflection. Yeah, more extra deflection. That's a pretty good pick actually. Or Deprive the Unworthy, which is suspend beneficial attacks, but it's per rest ability, so which I don't tend to usually like. Here I'm going to pick, yeah, more deflection. So I'm really maxing out my deflection bonuses here. It is a defensive paladin after all. Now I've got yet another talent pick. We've only got 2 left, so I'm not going to be able to take all of these sadly. And also there are other talents like a weapon focus that's usually a good idea to pick. Or even the weapon style. I don't think one-handed weapon style is very good though, so definitely not going to pick that. So you could pick one of these to give an accuracy bonus to one of your weapons. But since the Paladin isn't really here to do damage, I'm not sure it's such a good idea. There's the extra burn damage one there. Greater lay on hands. Or shield in touch. I'm actually going to take greater lay on hands, I think, here. At this point it doesn't really matter, it's personal preference, I think. I'm not going to particularly damage your player character if you pick one thing over another. There's hastening exhortation, which is per rest sadly, but that's not bad at all. It lasts for an especially long time because of my intelligence on this character. Yeah, so I think actually here I'm actually going to pick that. Extra attack speed for that alone is very good against particularly hard combatants. That could really help out. So I'll pick that. And last level. I'm actually going to invest in my skills here now then. So I'm going to specialize in athletics. You get 66 skill points, so that means you can advance basically 11 levels if you completely cap it out. That's not something I would normally want to do though, to be honest. So we get 11 points back here. So what shall I invest in? I think I'd probably want to invest a bit in stealth. So there's 1 point left. I get 4 points in stealth and I can get 1 point elsewhere. So stick that maybe in survival to make your potions last a bit longer. I'm not sure I would have stats like this for my player character. I'd probably have more lore instead, I'm guessing. But yeah, that should be pretty good, I think. Stats for your skills. And the last talent I shall take. I'll take the extra burn, I think, which makes a change here. I usually go for the deflection. And that's the character. Okay. So, I guess I should show off the character in combat a bit, although it's not really the purpose of this video.
Indeed.
So let's check the character stats. You can see here we've really maxed out deflection as much as possible. Defenses are great. I'm actually going to switch around some equipment to give her the plate mail. Does she actually... No, she doesn't start with it. It's a breastplate, I think. Let's give her a better shield as well. To really max out that. You can see here though that it gives -2 accuracy. And weapon. One-handed weapon, if I can find one. Hammer there. Spear might be good, it gives extra accuracy. Since she has pretty low accuracy.
I'm here.
Increases the chance you're doing more damage. Let's use my Flame of Devotion.
The better part of valor.
Okay. So let's see how much damage you can take against 4 or 5 people. Now, I believe she can actually use some of those on herself. So she can use Lay on Hands, Hastening Exhortation. What else can I use on myself here? Right, you can't use that on yourself, sadly. You can use that one. Hostile effects, so that would work here. Attack speed, what about that one? Can't use that on yourself either. So use that one first, which means I'm not really attacking it, but it'll last a while. It will get rid of some of these. Okay. As you can see they've gone now. And once you start getting damage, I use Lay on Hands as well on myself. I didn't pick the deflection bonus.
It's not working!
You can see here, my deflection is so high that they're just missing constantly. And I'm not doing much damage to them, but when you've got a full party and they're much more focused on dealing damage, then they'd be wasting their attacks against the Paladin while dishing out the damage, basically.
It's not working!
Now eventually she's going to drop below 50% endurance as well. That's when the godlike ability will kick in. And I'll start to damage them a lot then. Could take a while because they're missing so much. Right, here we go. The flame attack starting to kick in now because she's under 50% endurance. So she's starting to do significant damage here now.
It's not working!
I can still heal myself as well.
Ah! It's not working!
Okay, I believe I'm going to have to call it an end of the video here. I hope you've enjoyed this character creation video for the Paladin class, specifically a defensive or frontline Paladin. If you have any comments or feedback about this video or this class in general, and you want to share them with me and other people, please go ahead in the comment section. If you're new to my channel, you may want to subscribe. There's plenty of other content like this. I mainly concentrate on Let's Plays. In fact, there's going to be a Let's Play for Pillars of Eternity that will be out on the channel shortly after the game's release on the 26th of March 2015. So if that's out, you may want to click on a link for that. Also, if you fancy helping me out, you may want to give this video a like, and also you may want to check out my Patreon page if you really like my videos. That's a way you can help to support the channel and also have more of a say about the content that I put on the channel as well. Right, I think I've covered everything I wanted to cover, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.